So why in the world am I staring at my watch in between the exercises? What exactly am I doing and why? Well, here's why. What are the two different kinds of fatigue, CNS fatigue, that we encounter during a session? These are going to be spinal CNS fatigue as well as supraspinal CNS fatigue. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about spinal CNS fatigue just because it tends to dissipate pretty quickly. So as long as you're not like jumping right into a set after like 10 seconds, you should be fine. However, supraspinal fatigue is generally why we take these longer rest periods. Now, what causes supraspinal fatigue? Supraspinal fatigue is caused by uncomfortable or disagreeable sensations. And like all different types of fatigue, that's going to prohibit us from pushing to our maximum and recruiting the most motor units. What are examples of supraspinal fatigue or these disagreeable sensations? One might be pain, like the burn, that might come from doing a lot of high reps. That's disagreeable because it hurts. Pain is disagreeable to us. But again, that would be within a set. So how long should you rest in between sets? Well, the disagreeable sensation here that we want to focus on is going to be our heart rate elevation. After doing a hard set, a heavy set, or something like that, you will notice that your heart rate tends to spike for a bit. And high heart rate is a disagreeable sensation. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm checking my Garmin to see my heart rate so that I can see when it returns to the typical baseline that it's at the gym. And so what does this mean for you? It means that you don't need an arbitrary set amount of time in between sets. A lot of people recommend 3 minutes, but to be quite honest, that's probably the upper limit, and it's just playing it safe. It's ensuring that our heart rate has reached baseline. But if you're doing a lot of exercises, a lot of sets in a session, 3 minutes between each one may be a little too long. So if you want to be the most efficient that you can either have a heart rate monitor or just feel your heart rate. See when it returns the baseline after spiking after a hard set. Certain exercises are going to spike your heart rate more, like a heavy squat or a hinge or a heavy press. But other exercises aren't going to spike it very much. Think like a forearm exercise, think like a supination. And after those, you can rest for barely any time. So yeah, if you want to assign a random number, I would recommend something like 3 minutes to 5 minutes if you don't want to be paying attention to your heart rate. But if you don't want to be doing that and instead you want to be the most efficient with your time as possible, I would utilize your Apple Watch or a Garmin if you have it and monitor your heart rate and start your new sets whenever your heart rate returns to baseline. So yeah, I hope this helped. Follow for more.